Welcome to The More You Know, The Better It Tastes. This is the official podcast of San Antonio Restaurants, and I'm Alan Williams.
And I am Susie Lafredo.
How are you today, Susie?
I am wonderful, and we have an amazing guest.
Oh, you know what? It's one of my favorite people.
Oh,
Yes.
man, thank you.
So today we have Jeremiah
and-
Burns.
I was just going to say, when you announce who it is, everyone's going to feel the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Jeremiah had the brainstorm and just hit it on the head. He opened a peanut butter and jelly sandwich restaurant called PB&J with Tay, and it's great. Welcome, Jeremiah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. I was, I think we spoke, I was on your last podcast, and it looks like y'all have upgraded. And,
We have.
You're getting
looks
fancy
nice.
here.
Yes.
Y'all have been
video,
doing a lot.
The whole works.
Yeah. Y'all have been doing a lot over the last, I guess, 1-2 years since I've been on the show.
We
with
really
y'all.
Yeah,
have.
coming up on 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, we really have. We've grown so much, and also just everything that we do is all for local and just to help the local businesses. So yeah,
I was going to say,
we're excited.
I love your business platform. It's a business platform that gets to promote other businesses.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's huge.
Well-
hyping up other businesses like me, that platform is really cool to me.
Yeah, but you do the same thing. It's so that's what I love about the local restaurant owners, and I haven't found that. I've worked in a lot of different industries. As a marketer, in my past lives, I used to work with all kinds of industries. Now it's pretty much just restaurants, and I don't think I've been in another industry where the business owners really come together and help each other.
Oh yeah,
I
you
think-
encourage people. Go there. Go
Yeah,
there.
yeah, and I do. I think that was one thing within the industry when I started that that kind of took me by surprise is the group, the strong group of people around me that just naturally came, and you start to meet new people. People like Jim Anwar over at Gino's Deli and Greg and Phil. I mean, Prince, people like that, out at Mata Monte, you start to really find this like group of people that want everybody to succeed and really help out. I think that's one thing that took me by surprise is the friendships and the bonds I made. That when we look back at this journey, we're going to say, "Hey, remember when we were in this game together?"
Yeah. And you know what we think it is? It's because restaurant owners, chefs, are artists.
Yeah.
Artists have big hearts.
Yeah.
And they want to share with other people, and they want to share. They want other people to have joy and happiness in their life. That's what we're finding.
Yeah.
And so I
No
think
doubt.
that's what it is. That's what that's the key with all these folks.
Well, you don't jump into something like this because it's just on a whim. You really pray over it, you think about it, you move forward with it, and once you really get into it, you realize there's a common bond between all of us. The stresses of running the restaurant, the stresses of employees, the stresses of long days, and once you find that common bond with people like that and really go like, man, we're doing this. I think that's the huge part.
It's that's such a good point, because I think every restaurant owner that we've talked to, there's some kind of a story behind,
absolutely.
whether it was their childhood or their, some kind of emotional memory or whatever it was. I know with you, it was your family. You wanted to create something that would be
that worked around my family life.
Yeah.
And I absolutely did. Once I had my daughter, it was huge to me that I was able to create work, family, and my life around one entity. And I think I've done that. I have my daughter in the shop all the time. My wife's in the shop all the time. I came from a corporate background where it was like from 8 to 5, there's no connection with your family. And I would no longer wanted to be like a kind of victim to the game. And I wanted to just say like, I'm going to call the shots within my life, opening up a restaurant, having my massage shop, and being able to just say, you know what, my family needs me right now, and I'm sorry I have to close this down, or I need to regroup and really, concentrate on what I have going on. And that's huge. That's huge for me, especially now that my daughter's 8 or 9. I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't make any huge moves in the industry until she got a little older. And I can look back now and say I didn't miss a single moment in my daughter's life.
That's so cool.
And that's the only thing that's really important.
Yeah.
That is the only thing. That's
and
great.
owning a restaurant is such a roller coaster. I think anybody who's out there who owns a restaurant probably knows that. Sometimes you're, crazy busy sometimes. You're going through a list and you're like, okay, what's going on?
Sometimes the same day.
Sometimes in the same day. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's something too that, is why restaurant owners bond together so much. But I know that I've seen, for example, on social media where you'll post a post out with you and your family, and you're saying, hey, we're out at this local restaurant.
Yeah,
I started doing
a series where it was important to me. We got a lot on this restaurant page about these restaurants that were like not making it. Please come out and support us, and it felt like a good 6 months where like every other week there was a restaurant saying like, if I don't get support, I'm not going to get help.
Yeah.
And so I started doing this series where me and my daughter and my wife would just wear our shirts and we'd go to these restaurants and take a picture and just say PB&J with Tay family supporting such and such restaurant. Ultimately helping other people, actually spending your money where it is, going to those places and spending it. That's the one thing that I see is going to keep these places alive. 1, 2, 3 visits is tough to do, but just showing people that there are restaurants within the industry that support other restaurants is huge to me.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, let's talk about your restaurant. So you're at 5335 McCullough. That's in the area they call the Yard.
The Yard Shopping Center off of McCullough in Olmos Park. We're on the second floor of the Yard Shopping Center. There are some stairs. So if you have issues getting up there, just let us know. Call. We'll run down any sandwiches we can. And I did make a little seating area downstairs as the weather starts to cool down.
Yeah, Jeremiah will personally put you on his back and carry you up those stairs,
Tell you
right?
what, I've tried. I've been like, come on.
Let's do this.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So what made you pick that location? Because it's such a cool, quaint spot.
So the one main reason why I picked that location is because my massage shop was in the same shopping center. I promised myself that when I opened the restaurant that I wouldn't let my massage business fail or falter at any time. And so what I ended up doing is having them close to each other, so I'm able to do a massage before I open the shop.
Nice.
So I'll take a client around 9:30 to 10:30. And then I open up the PB&J shop from 11 to 3, and then I take a client from 3:30 to 4:30, and I head home. So I run both businesses, and it's a good 7-8 hour day, nothing too hectic.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the main reason was that was the only location that was available in the shopping center when I went to open my shop.
It seems like worked out perfectly.
It did.
So in that shopping center, they actually have some old train cars
in the back,
and that's where Crazy Katsu is at. That's
Frutosa.
Frutosa? Is
Yeah,
that
they
new?
just opened up.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
fruit
And
smoothie
the
place.
new coffee shop.
The new coffee
really
shop.
Cool.
So, and your massage business is it in one of those cars?
In
is
one
it
of
not?
the cars.
At
I'm
the
on the
very
end,
end, and so then your restaurant is at the other end on the second floor.
Yeah.
And what's the name of your massage business?
It's called the shout out to the R&R station for massage and healing.
Okay.
Nice.
I have a hairstylist who rents a space from me, and then I have a buddy of mine, Alan Williams. He's been in the massage game, and
Alan Williams?
I'm sorry. Alan Woodrow. Windrow. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just like, you didn't tell us about this guy.
Little thing I do on the side.
Yeah. So I have Alan
we can't get all of them, that's
Windrow.
right.
Alan Windrow, man, he's been in the massage game for about 25 years now, 25 years, and he rents a space for me there too. So,
Wow.
and then in my PB&J shop, Better Than Flowers SA, he makes beautiful bouquet cupcakes.
I've seen them.
Yeah. So he rents my kitchen when I'm not there.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, he's incredible, talented man, Alfredo Pena. I'm giving everyone a shout out today.
You are. So
What you
your
do.
massage therapy business that came first.
It did. It was something when I left Methodist Hospital after 11 years.
Yeah.
I was in corporate for 11 years, finished my master's degree at Incarnate Word, and went straight into the corporate world. When I left Methodist Hospital, I made it a goal in my life to just find what I was here to do based on some innate traits that I just have internally, and that's caring for people, always wanting to help people, people in pain. And so somehow I landed on massage therapy, and I'm able to put my hands on people and truly just show them like I'm here to help.
Yeah.
I'm here to get you out of any type of pain you're in. I work a lot with people, going through certain times in life because we carry mind, body, and soul. And so when people are going through emotional situations,
It's all in your muscles. It
sits there. So I've been through a lot of pain in my life, and I think that it helps it transposes into my massage. And then about a year and a half later, I just felt like there was something else for me, when it came to taking on this new route of entrepreneurship. And man, somehow I landed on a peanut butter and jelly restaurant.
Well, it's hospitality. It's the same kind of thing. It's giving, and it's
Yeah, but still, PB&J. Why that? I mean, what was it about peanut butter that made you think that's it?
So I think that there was a nostalgia for me with this sandwich that brought back a feeling of comfort. It brought back a feeling of like younger days when you're with your grandmother or a soccer game or your mom just packed you a lunch. And so I think that I was trying to fulfill something else within my life. Massage was one thing, but it can kind of, when you give, it can kind of drain you.
Yeah.
And I needed to fill that cup up in a certain way. And so there's completely two different businesses because one's like, here, let me help you and drain everything I can and give you my energy. And then I go into PB&J and I'm like, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like, hey, come in, friends, I love you, right? So it's these complete two different dynamics that I think within my day just truly fulfills who I am as a person.
Yeah. Are you from San Antonio?
I was born in Germany, but I moved here when I was 1.
Oh, okay.
And so San Antonio for 43 years has been my city.
But you said you sound like you have a little bit of a New York accent.
When I start to go,
right?
I get that all the time. When I start to go, I don't know where it comes from, but I'll get going and my energy gets pumping, and everybody's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "San Antonio." Don't worry.
Yeah.
San Antonio.
Got a San Antonio accent. That is so cool. So that's really cool that you have that. So you typically, what are your hours there?
So 11 to 2:45. It used to be 11 to 3, Tuesday through Friday, but I pick up my daughter sometimes for school, so I changed my hours to 2:45. So 11 to 2:45, Tuesday through Friday, and then on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I'm open 11 to 4.
Oh, okay.
11 to 4.
So,
All
nice.
right. Yeah, no, it's a really cool place, and it is very nostalgic. I love that you do that there.
Yeah.
Can we talk just a little bit? I know you spent time in the corporate world.
I did.
And you had some issues that kind of just is what led you down this path of being your own person and not being caught up in other things. What happened to you?
Yeah, so if you're going, how far back we go, but I'm a huge proponent of speaking on mental health. I'm a huge proponent of speaking on addiction because of my past, because of the things I went through, ultimately things I put myself through. But yeah, I struggle with addiction and alcohol, and then after that, I relapsed on anxiety meds and pills and things like that. And so I spent two stints in detox, just coming out of understanding that was a part of me, but it's not me. There's a better me, and I need to find that person. I always had this innate trait to just say, like, I need to know how good I can be before I leave this place. And when I was, caught up in the addiction part of it, I was still a good person, but I just wasn't me. I wasn't that full extent of who I could be as a person. And man, you look back, I have so many friends who are like, yeah, man, like you drank, but you were still good guy, good person. A lot of people didn't even know I drank that much, or even took pills or anything like that, because I hid it so well. But yeah, I had some issues and struggle with addiction and things like that. And when I came out of that, I think I went on this like gung-ho journey of like, I need to embrace who I am as a person, not run from it, not hide from it, and really just find out who I am in the core of my being, and trying to see how the best I can be. And what that led me to was an amazing my wife and my child and 2 businesses. And I think that this journey is going to continue on. I don't know where it's going to go, but coming out of that, I look back and go like, how can I help other people? I think the massage place has really helped me look back and like lend a hand to those people who are struggling as well. So yeah, I'm on the up and up when it comes to 13 years sober, 11 years from the pills, and I think that I'm really I speak on it with a strong foundation that it's an old me that no longer exists, but I still look back and go like, man, how can I help other people around me?
Yeah, I was going to say, being in that corporate world is such a different world. There's different stresses, there's different, I don't know, constrictions maybe.
Until I left, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I think I'm such a hard-headed person where I'm like, I'm just going to work and I'm just going to stick it through and then you get laid off and you just like take this breath and you're just like, whoa, I don't think I belong there.
Yeah.
Even 11 years later, it was just.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people who that is their thing. That's their jam. I mean,
they don't know
that's,
anything else.
It's their thing. But when you kind of break out and you start, like you did, realizing that, okay, you know what, I really need to do something to fulfill me.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, there are many people that work in the
and I
corporate
still
world,
have
and that's their
friends
thing.
there
That's where they and that's great too. But yes, but kind of breaking out and realizing, for me, I need something different. And it's just like you were saying, I changed my hours to 2:45 because my daughter. You have the ability to do those things.
You couldn't do that any other way. Yeah. Do you think do you have, looking back in your family, anxiety issues? Or?
Huge. My biological father, which I didn't know much of, I know he struggled with mental health issues. I know my sister did. I think that anxiety and mental health within my family, whether it's ADHD or whether it's OCD, which I tend to have, and which I know I have. I think that controlling those kind of traits that I call blessings have been a struggle within myself. I think that's why I drank, to kind of cover that up. It's why I took anxiety meds to cover that up.
Self-medication.
Yeah, self-medicated and then going to doctors and getting medication and realizing like maybe that's not the route I need to go to. But it's been a long journey with my mental health and I don't think it ever stops. It's from day to day.
So I don't know, maybe I could guess why the restaurant industry has mental health issues.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are in the industry, part of it is
a lot of stress.
Well, it's a lot of stress, but I'm thinking also you typically don't get drug tested to be part of in that industry.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think that there are traits within every restaurant. I mean, look at Prince. I mean, his energy,
talking about from Mario Monte.
Monte. Yeah, shout out to Prince. Every time we do podcasts, he's like, Jeremiah, I'm like, Prince. Like, we're always, giving shout outs. But like, if you look at him, there's a perfectionist in him. Yeah. There's a reason.
So
there's a reason why he has reset the standard of customer service within San Antonio. I truly believe he has. Within a year, he came in. And if you look at how everything has to be kind of a perfectionist within his realm, right?
Yes.
Whether he's controlling the scenario or whether he's, giving amazing customer service, I think that a lot of business owners have specific traits that maybe they weren't diagnosed with. And so, trying to keep those traits in check along with the stresses of the long hours and the employees and things like that. I had to particularly build my restaurant around eliminating the stressors of restaurants. And I went to people and said, what's your number one stressor? Long hours, employees, payroll, taxes, right? And so I built my restaurant where it was like, okay, I'm going to be 11 to 4. I'm not going to have any employees.
No employees,
I took either the business part of it or the overhead. And so I literally built my restaurant where I call it kind of fail-proof, even during times like COVID where I don't lose money when I'm not making money.
Yeah.
And a lot of restaurant-owned businesses do. And so I knew that within myself, I didn't want those stressors because I probably would have been out a long time ago.
Right.
And 6 years later, I'm still the only one in the restaurant, still not really burned out. But I think that's why I built my restaurant the way I did, because I was like, man, that industry, I don't know if I want to be head first.
Yeah, it's smart.
So we will probably release this podcast during the month of May.
Yeah.
We're at the end of April right now, so it'll be sometime during May. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month.
It is, and if you don't mind, I'd love to speak real briefly on it. First and foremost, if anybody's listening to this, I'm an open book.
I hope they are.
I hope so too.
But listening to this and may are going through some things right now, I'm an open book. And if there's one thing that I've been through, it's some mental health issues, never using it as a crutch. It's never woe is me, but acknowledging it and accepting and having a path and a plan in place when these moments happen. And if anybody's listening to this and having any issues, please reach out to me on social media. I have a strong foundation of people around me, and whether it's psychiatrists or therapists or just my own wisdom on how to kind of just manage through these moments of weakness when you're going through moments. And then just to say, like, I'm here for you as well. But, you know, Alan, if we're going where I think we're going with this, I think I mentioned to you about, you know, I've been 13 years sober. I stopped taking the meds and doing all that. And, you know, back in November, December, and January, I had what I would say a relapse in my mental health. It started so inconspicuous with like a small panic attack. And I was on the highway and I was driving and I couldn't get off the highway, and my legs went numb, my hands went tingle, I started sweating. I was like, that's odd. I haven't had one of those in a long time. Like, what was that? I got off the highway. Next day happened again. And I was like, I'm just going to stay away from the highway. Mm-hmm. Then it just kept snowballing. Then it was like if I was just at a stoplight. And then it was like I didn't want to drive at night. And then it was like when customers walked into my restaurant, I was like complete panic mode. And I would get it under control for a couple of days, and then it would just pop up again. I didn't want to pick up a knife in my kitchen. And I just started spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And I started having what I know now is a part of obsessive compulsive, where I can latch on to certain things. I didn't know the extent of the diagnosis, but I thought it was just this like cleanliness I always have, you know, because everything's in order. My house is in order. Nothing moves. My restaurant, you know, is a platform for that. But I didn't understand that it had something to do with the compulsion of thoughts. And I started latching on to very just dark thoughts that was igniting a chemical imbalance in my body that I couldn't control. Mm-hmm. And it got really, really dark for a minute, where I was almost told my wife, like, don't let me in the house. I was panicking about, like, you know, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt myself, and what would happen. And it just got more and more and more. And for about 2 weeks, I was sitting in this, what they call fight or flight mode, where my mouth was dry. I wasn't eating. I was waking up in the middle of the night. And I finally just looked to my wife one day, and I was like, I need help, and I can't stop this. I don't know what's going on. And so I went to my wife, and I checked into the hospital, and I got help for about 3 or 4 days. And I now have a grasp on what it was I was going through. I didn't know at the time. And I think it gave me a stronger understanding and dynamic of what mental health really is. It also made me realize that in the past, it would have been 2, 3, 4 years of drinking and losing relationships and losing my job and losing and this was a 2-month ordeal where it was like in and out.
Well, and you knew, okay. So
yeah.
What does it look like when you just make that decision? You know what? I need to go ahead and check myself in and figure out. What does that look like when you're at the hospital? What does that look? I mean, the only reason I ask is because if you get yourself into a situation where you have a chemical imbalance, how do you rebalance that?
So it's sketchy because with me, I was big on like no medication, no pills, no this, no that.
Yes.
But the doctor looked at me and said, "This is a chemical imbalance in your body, like diabetes. If we don't stop the chemical reaction with other chemicals, you can't get out of it."
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, I need to come up with a plan that says, like, I'll take these. No, it can't be addictive. It can't be I need to make sure that whatever we're doing here, it needs to be an open conversation with the doctor. Like, if you put me on these meds, I'm going to be an addict within 6 months. Right. Don't do it. And so what it looks like to me is me saying, I don't want these addictive medications. I don't want to be dependent on anything. How do we stop this? And so it took about 4 days, and I started to regain what was happening with myself. And but what it looks like within my personal life with my wife was like, I don't get it. My parents are like, I don't understand.
Right.
And so, but they were all so supportive. What it looked like for me was I have a strong foundation set that where if I ever need to check out for 2 weeks, I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my wife. I didn't lose my daughter. I didn't lose my businesses. And I don't know if y'all saw, but I extended my hours of closure during the holidays. And people were like, please don't close, because we were seeing a lot of people closing. And I was like, I'm not closing. Right. I just need more time off. And I was able to step away from my business for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And not lose it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I realized that I've built a very, very strong foundation that when it gets rocky, when something happens and I have to step away for 2 weeks, that there's people around me that literally held me up.
Yes.
And it was huge. And I get chills thinking about it because, like, I look back and, like, I have people saying, like, we were praying for you, man. We knew you were going through it. And my dad turned to me one day and was like, I think I get it now. I talked to your psychiatrist and I'm like, nice to meet you, Dad.
Yeah.
Right? Let me tell you some other things I do that maybe you don't really know, right? And so I think that this trait of OCD has always been a factor within myself. And my wife is just like, she's great with it. She's like, calm down, like enough. Enough's enough.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was doing it.
Right.
And so my parents now can look and go like, hey, man, you're getting stuck. You're getting stuck in that repetitive thing. Like, it's enough. Let it go, dude.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, whoa, it makes for who I am, right? Why everyone loves me so much, because I am that kind of extreme kind of guy with the smile and the laugh and the love and always shout outs. But then I have to like rein it in sometimes and go like, whoa. And I think what was happening is that nothing was happening. People ask me like, what was going on? Like, what triggered it? I was like, man, I just came off my 5-year anniversary at the PB&J shop. It was one of the best turnouts I could have ever asked for. Line out the door from open to close. I did not expect that on my 5-year anniversary. And then like, that was October 26th, I think. Mid-November, everything just slowed down. And I was just like, going in, going to work, going home, going to sleep, going to work, going home. And nothing was happening. Yeah. And my brain was like, watch this.
Right. Here's something to happen.
Yeah, you need something, kid. Here you are. And I was like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
And so, look, ultimately, if there's anybody out there, in this industry or in others that just say like, man, I'm going through it, please reach out to me. Let's chat. Let's talk. I think that it's something that I'm a huge proponent of, and trying to think through it while you're going through it is absolutely impossible.
Yeah,
I was a completely different person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Having said that, you did have that moment of clarity where you said, you know what, I need to go get help. Yeah. And
and it was a last minute thing. My wife was like, that has to be the last minute thing.
Yeah.
She, we
Of
hadn't
course.
spent more than 2 days apart from each other before. And I'm going like, I'm not hurt. I'm not anything. Nothing's happened. Nothing's really going on. She's looking at me like, just stop thinking about it. And in my head, I was like, man. And I looked at her and I finally just said, I know this is the last straw, but like, I'm not okay. Yeah. And please. And she dropped me off and she handled the baby and the life and the work and we had a plan in session, and I came back to PB&J 2 weeks later. Ultimately was not ready to come back, but my brother kept telling me like, just go through the motions again. Just keep going through the motions again. And it's going to get easier, right? And it took about a month. And I still think to this, I'm still kind of the repercussions of what I went through. I'm still kind of fighting them. Right now, my thing is I'm just eating. and I'm just reaching. I've gained 30 pounds.
Oh, should we put these Oreos away?
No.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, you're going through the mental part, and you're not really concentrating on anything else, but trying to get past that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm turning corners. I'm back in the gym. I need to get the weight off, and but it's going to be phases. And people say like this was a huge incident.
And I think too, it's sometimes not being so hard on yourself. You know.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, I mean, you go through these. You have to go through the steps that you need to go through to, you know, first it's the mental, then or whatever. You know, you have to go.
No, I hear
and
you.
so you can't just give yourself grace.
Yeah.
You know.
And it is. And thank you for giving me the platform to speak on that. I think that it's hard to understand what that looks like. For other people and people who may not have ever experienced anxiety, like it's really, really tough for them to get it. That's why I'm drawn to people like Alan, because I'm just like, your calmness and I have my best friends like you, and his name's John, and he's just this like calm of peace that I just like hang out next to. And my wife's the same way, where she's just like this utter like peace for me. And I'm drawn to people like you because, you know, ultimately I don't really know what it's like.
Thank you. Well, we love you. We love you, and
glad
that you got help and that you're doing so good.
Thank you,
and
man.
that you're there for others that may be experiencing it. They can contact you,
Please
they need to. You know, if they need help, don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah,
Reach
absolutely.
out.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, you've talked a lot about having such an amazing support system.
Yeah.
And so that's really what you're talking about right now is
Yeah.
there's so many people out there that may or may not have a support system because people just don't understand what they're going through.
It took me years to build that support system. I think when people realized when they were going through things, I was there for them and things like that. But man, I look back and just say like, man, I mean, my brother was like ready to put on the gloves and go open the shop. Like, okay, what do we need to do? And my whole family just goes straight into like, you know, this is Jeremiah. Let's you know, another moment he's having, but we know who he is and we know the best for him. And but yeah, it was great. It was great to know that down the road, if these moments do happen again, that I have a lot of people,
exactly,
including y'all. So thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm calm.
You are calm. Yes.
I was like, you only said Alan.
No, I did. Both of you. Yeah, this whole thing.
All right. Well, let's take a break, and we'll come back. I want to hear about all the cool sandwiches you got. Let's jump over to there.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. Susie, you know, one of our biggest audience members is restaurant owners or people that are thinking about getting into restaurants.
Yes.
And from talking to them, the biggest issue they have in running a restaurant is their POS system.
Absolutely. It's such an important, of course, part of being a restaurant owner.
Yeah. And some of them they're just these big behemoth software companies that do so much it just gets... San Antonio POS is who we recommend because San Antonio POS is locally owned, locally managed, and you get local service.
Absolutely. I mean, we've heard some restaurant owners who have been in such a pickle. They've needed to get a representative out there to fix something on their POS system because it is so important, and they haven't been able to get a hold of somebody or get somebody out there. You know, they'll tell them it's 3 days before we can get somebody out there, and that is not workable. Where with San Antonio POS, because they are local, they're there and ready to help.
They're right away. San Antonio POS uses SkyTab, which is a software that was made for the hospitality industry, and it has everything you already want. But the first thing that our friend David Dykin that owns San Antonio POS, he'll come out and he'll sit with you and find out exactly what your processes are and design it for your restaurant.
Yeah, you know, and one of the reasons, you know, because we are really picky about who we work with, even sponsors, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, they are...
You're not picky. You work with me.
Yeah. I'm very picky.
All right.
But David is amazing. You know, he has a heart like we do, you know, as far as the restaurant owners go, where he really cares and he goes in there. He wants the restaurant to succeed.
And he's been doing this more than 30 years, so he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing, exactly.
Yeah.
The other cool thing about San Antonio POS is that system is there's no hidden costs.
That's right.
So a lot of different systems, you know, they charge for their gift cards, they charge for loyalty programs, they charge for all of those different types of things where it's all included.
Yeah, and not only that, right now they have a special. If you have a San Antonio POS put into your system, afterwards, you'll get $5,000 back. That helps to cover the cost for your training, helps cover the costs of any downtime that you had while switching. it really is a great
It
opportunity.
is a great program. Exactly. Yeah. So David Dyken is the individual that you want to get a hold of. He owns San Antonio POS, and as we said, amazing fella. And you can go to his website. Alan, his phone number is
210-723-6075.
Make sure you say that San Antonio Restaurants or the Flavors of Texas sent you.
That's right. And you can also go to our website, which is theflavorsofTexas.com. Scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see a banner that says San Antonio POS. Click on that, and it takes you right there.
Absolutely.
All right. And we are back. This is The More You Know, The Better It Tastes. And today we have PB&J with Tay, and we have our friend Jeremiah Burns, who is the owner of PB&J with Tay. Now, you're the only, let's see, there's only a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwich
in the nation.
businesses in the nation.
Yeah,
There's about 3. There's PB&J LA, Peanut Butter and Jelly Deli out in Wisconsin, but we're the only one in Texas.
The only one in Texas, man. So Dallas and Austin ain't got nothing on us.
I was nervous the first time I said Texas only, but I had to make sure I did my research before I claimed that one.
I mean, it's such a one of those places that you go in and it's just comfortable and it's like you're home.
And you know what surprised me going there? So I've been there a couple of times, and I expect to see children there. I expect to see, and you do have children there, you know, but kids eating peanut butter and jelly. No, it's one adult after another. The mailman came in to buy one. The construction worker. Just regular people off the street. Everyone wants a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right?
Well, when I first started this, I literally would just go around town, and my wife was like, "Will you stop?" Because I would just be like, it didn't matter who it was. Like, do you eat peanut butter and jelly? The guy at the register. And it didn't matter if they were 60, if they were 20. Everybody said yes, and they would just smile. They would light up. And they're like, "Of course I eat PB&J."
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you? So you actually have some pretty interesting and fun, different versions of peanut butter jelly.
Yeah.
How did you come up with some of these?
So they all, it started with bacon. I'm like, look, if you could have any restaurant with good bacon, good coffee. And so I was like, you know what? It kind of started with the Elvis. I'm like, I heard he had bacon and bananas on it. Let's try that. And then they all started to just kind of come together. The Hawaiian has bacon and coconut flakes. You have the Pooh Bear, my business partner's husband. He was like, I eat my, they call him Poppy. And he was like, I eat mine with walnuts, bananas, and honey. And I was like, let's call it the Pooh Bear.
I love
and
that.
so it all just kind of came together. The kitchen sink, it has like almost every topping we have on there. It's a double-decker, huge sandwich.
The Eggcellent.
The Eggcellent. I was eating eggs and bacon one day, and I had a piece of toast with jelly, peanut butter and jelly, and I was like, with strawberry jalapeno jelly, and I was like, this has got to be a sandwich. And I put it together. It's our top seller now. It's
is it
fantastic.
Really?
Yeah,
it
really is, the Excellent.
Yeah. What is the Texan?
The Texan is just a jalapeno jelly with bacon.
Yeah. Wow. And where do you get the peanut butter? The jalapeno jelly.
So I make the mixture of jalapeno jelly in house. I don't make the jelly itself.
Yeah.
Our strawberry jalapeno jelly is what we're really known for. People come and buy the jar, but it has 6 different jellies in it: fresh jalapenos, candied jalapenos, red cherry peppers. Just chop it all up, blend it all together. It took me about a year to perfect that. I was outsourcing it, and I was like, you know what? Figure out your own, so you can just have it on point when you need it. And so I've perfected the strawberry jalapeno. If you come in, get that jelly, it'll keep you coming back.
That sounds
Love
amazing.
And
That's
it's
really
not going to
good.
be so hot. It's not going to.
No, it
it's
has
just
a small
the flavor,
little kick.
right?
Yeah, it has a small little kick. It goes away once you start putting all the toppings with it, and the peanut butter and bread. It really does go away. But yeah, that's how I kind of came up with all these, and it was the creative part of it was really fun. The decorating of the shop, the creative making the sandwiches, like that's the fun part of the business. And then when you get into it, you're like, oh, there's money involved in this.
Right.
Yeah. Chef Andrew Weissman told us one time that it's way more fun to plan a restaurant than it is to run a restaurant.
And then you're running it, you're just like, oh man.
So what are people? So when people come in, what are typically their favorite?
So the Make My Tay is a huge hit. It has cream cheese, bacon, crispy bacon, and then I always recommend that strawberry jalapeno has peanut butter, and we do it on Texas toast. I wanted to stay really nostalgic with how far off the beaten path I went with PB&J. I've heard it all, from mayonnaise to Spam to bologna to ham. And before you know, waffles, people come in like, have you thought about this? And I'm like, probably. But yeah, I wanted to be real careful that if I was going to claim to be a peanut butter and jelly restaurant, that I wouldn't convolute it with what would make me a cafe, and now people are ordering waffles, eggs, and bacon, and I'm like,
right,
And so also with me in the back being the only one that works there, it has to be a streamlined process.
Sure.
And so I've learned very quickly, take your order, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have such good reviews, because there's no long wait. The food is always fresh, right off the grill. All you get is me when you get in there, from service to have a blessed day kind of thing.
Sure.
I think that's that streamlined process.
And you can get a ice cold, glass of milk
in a mason jar.
Yes, or you can get almond milk.
Almond milk.
Yep.
Coffee. I keep it really, really simple. Although when people walk in, they're like, "Man, this is a lot." I keep it really simple when it comes to the drinks, the menu, and
Yeah, you also have really cool merch. I know I have one of your coffee cups. I use that all the time at home.
The logo itself came from Joy Zaruba. She's a local artist, and then the merch is Osfer Creations. My buddy Brian Osborne, and he did our shirts. He sent me a mug one day and was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Print them now." And so the mugs fly, the tumblers, our shirts, our hats. I think after 6 years, people are like, "Man, this is a thing,"
Yeah.
And like, man, you'll walk around town and people are like, "That's my favorite shop." Yeah, man, it makes me so happy.
It happened when we were here. When Jeremiah got to the podcast studio, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been there."
Oh yeah, it's really is. It's one of those things that over 6 years now, people love wearing the shirts, and you'll get stopped all over town. People want to take a picture of the back of my shirt.
That's really cool.
That is
one
very
thing
cool.
we didn't talk about is the name PB&J with Tay. What does Tay mean?
So Tay is my daughter, Tay Lynn, and my wife is Taylor. And there was nothing that went into that thought process. It literally was like, PB&J with Tay, it rhymes with your name, and that was it. And looking back, I'm like, man, PB&J SA, PB&J all day, PB&J your way. And so...
But no, this makes it personal. I do too.
Yeah. And but no, I think it's fantastic. Now, man, this last 2 weeks, my daughter has been... She's 8 now, and so she's like, "Daddy, will you show me the register?" I was like, "If you can work a phone, you can work a register." So she's like,
how cute.
She's up at the front when the door dings. She runs over to the register, and she's
that's cool.
It's so cool. That's like
love it.
I've been waiting for that moment for a long time.
How fun!
It's so cute.
I mean, how cool that you can do that together.
Yeah.
Really good.
Cute.
So I noticed on here you have the Mega Crunch, and I want to go have one.
Yeah, that Mega Crunch has been one of my favorites lately. I don't eat my sandwiches often anymore, but when I do, I like that Mega Crunch. Has good texture. The granola, crunchy peanut butter. Yeah, it's a good one.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So you also sometimes partner with local restaurants. I know in the past you've partnered with Crazy Katsu.
Yeah, we did a collab. Anybody wants to do a collab, let me know. I love it. I think it's great to just promote each other. But we did a fried chicken sandwich with bacon, strawberry jalapeno, and peanut butter. And man, I was surprised how busy we were. It was wild. And we did one with like peach and tahine on a fried chicken sandwich. I mean, everything's good on a fried chicken.
Yeah.
Had some bacon. But yeah, we did a collab. That's when I went in, I was in a real kitchen, and they're like, "Order up!" screaming. I was like, "Oh God, what's going on? Why are people yelling at me?" Because in my restaurant, it was just like, it's me.
Just happy.
Yeah, little
Right.
quiet music.
Yeah.
I was noticing when you were on with us before, it was one of our earliest episodes. So it must have been about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my notes, and you had 178 Google reviews, and 175 of those were 5-star.
Yeah.
You now have 416 5-star reviews on Google.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think Prince put it so simple, where he was just like, it's not that hard to be kind and to let people know, to come into my home, and now it's your home. And I do that well. I think that making friends and being a people person is a gift that I think that I have always had and really truly love. But I also have to say, like, there are thousands of restaurants out there that you could go to. If you're gonna walk into mine, like, thank God, because it puts shoes on my daughter's feet and food on my table, and like I truly do. Want to build connections where I leave this and I run into people within the city and go like, oh my gosh, hey, I remember when you had this restaurant or this or that. So yeah, the 5-star rating, I think I think I latched on with that obsessive compulsiveness. I latched on to like, this works, and just stamp it out. And it's that kindness when you walk in the door. It's the quick service. It's the fact that you're elevating such a nostalgia, almost hack the system where it's like, and then when you leave, it's like, have a blessed day, come back and see us. But yeah, there's a couple 4 stars, and we have like 1 star, which everyone gets. So
we don't count that one. Yeah,
but no, those mean a lot to me.
Did Prince tell you about his 1 star?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he has no electricity, but some light inside had a battery, and somebody looks at it. They had lights. They lied.
Yeah. Oh, and believe me, it took me a while to kind of just brush those off and move on with them because, hey, man, it's our heart and soul we put into these things.
It is.
Yeah. I know.
It is.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Jeremiah, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's always a blessing hanging out with y'all.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
It's so much fun.
And thank you for what you do for San Antonio and the small
Thank you
business.
for what you do for San Antonio.
No doubt.
Exactly.
No doubt.
All right, great.
Yes.
Well, we will be back again next week with another great interview.
We will. And just to remind you, PB&J in Taywood is open. It's Tuesday through Friday 10 to 3, and then Saturday
10 to 2:45.
2:45.
11
and then
to
11
to 2:45.
11 to 2:45, Tuesday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday 11 to 4.
Perfect.
All right. And that's at 5335 McCullough Road, PB&J with Tay.
Yes.
Definitely go by.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, Susie, we should tell everyone that they need to share this podcast.
Absolutely.
That we need
Please share.
Yes.
Yes, and eat local and try something exciting and new and fun.
There you go. All right.
Thanks,
Jeremiah,
friends.
thanks again.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you
Bye,
so
guys.
much.